Welcome to the Unbearables podcast. I'm Brandon Ruiz, and I'm here with
Emilio
and Jack Cowart.
And today, to start everything off, we're actually going to talk about a fan's comment that they left in the bottom of the page. And it's basically just asking, there's two things. First is, would we trade Chandler Parsons and the 4 pick for Bobby Portis and the 7th pick? And initially, I'm just going to be like, no. I would not do that. But it's not because of exactly what you think. Chandler Parsons does have some game, although it's been declining, so I don't really trust it. But he also is making $20 million a year, and Bobby Portis is only making
1.391.
1.391. So that's like basically 18, almost $19 million of dead cap space. Because that's just what I'm gonna call it. That's what I'm gonna call it. So the dead cap space for that trade. So it's really bad, I feel like, for the Bulls, because they could use that money, and they have to hold him for 2 years. They could use that money in an upcoming free agency, even in this free agency. And I don't think Chandler Parsons is your guy that you want to spend this money on.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to, do you think Bobby Portis and the 7th pick is worth more than Chandler Parsons, the 4th pick, and $18 million in dead cap? I think most of the time the answer is going to be no. The only situation in where you would take that trade is if there's a guy that you know you want. If you're 100% certain that you want a guy you're not going to be able to get at 7.
Right, and with I guess one of the examples would be Porter, and in reality, though they have cleared it to not be permanent damage and that it's not going to last in his career, there's still a big if, because back injuries and hamstring injuries alike, they're really tricky, and there's something that you can't just bet that's going to be fine. And also, just in regards, Bobby Portis and then Parsons, Bobby Portis is not only shooting better than him, he's making more points too, and he has more rebounds and assists.
And he's also younger. Portis is 23. Parsons is going to be 30 next year.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And like you said, it's dead. That's a large amount of dead money that it's just not worth it.
And even in other podcasts, we've also talked about maybe signing Rudy Gay. And if you want to do that, then why would you sign Chandler Parsons? Why would you trade for Chandler Parsons? Because then that kind of takes away the ability to.
Exactly.
Like, you're still going to have extra money, but at the same time, it's like you are losing a lot.
Right.
And I feel like in that scenario, it's just Chandler Parsons, you know what he is at this point of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Portis, while I don't know how better he's going to get, he could actually still get better.
Right.
He's still super young. And so there's just too much potential on that side for me to actually want to take him. And also, I guess, if you, like Emilio said, if you want Michael Porter Jr., or another person in my mind is like Luka Doncic. Those are the two players that I feel like would be worth going up the 4 spot if that's for the Bulls, if that's what you like. But at the same time, it's like they're both ifs.
Yeah. And
you don't trade up for ifs, especially when you're losing $18 million and a player that clearly is better right now in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like in that scenario, there's a very small chance of it going really well, and I don't think it's worth that amount of money.
Right, exactly. 18 mil for the chance of Porter to be going off. I'm not saying it wouldn't, like, there's no chance of it panning out. It's a risk that the Bulls aren't really in a position to take right now.
Agreed.
Yeah. And another point that the fan asks was that, would you rather, I guess, move up with the 22nd pick to the 14th pick to get Kevin Knox? And my initial reaction is like, look, I actually do really like Kevin Knox, but I don't know how the Bulls make that trade. Because I guess the only way you make that trade is if you put like maybe Justin Holiday as a kicker, or if you trade Bobby Portis for Kenneth Faried, because the only way that they're giving away that pick is if you're also trading Kenneth Faried.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm okay with Kenneth Faried, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it if I had to trade the 22nd pick for that, because then you're just losing too much again.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't even really have much to add to that. Like, just agree.
I think it mostly depends on what we did at 7 in this scenario, because if Kevin Knox is still there at 14, who did we take at 7? Did we take Young, Bamba? In that case, maybe Kevin Knox would be worth it, but at 22, I think the small forwards there are good enough to not lose assets for.
Also, I think same thing because I do like Chandler Hutchinson at 22. I've been known of saying this, but also
Yes,
if we
you
trade up for trade up for 14 at the 14th pick, I feel like there is still a possibility that Miles Bridges is still there, and if you didn't pick him earlier, I would still rather have Miles Bridges more than Kevin Knox. Now, Kevin Knox and Lauri Markkanen could potentially play really well right next to each other, I feel like, because they both have that like 3-point range with both of their games, and they're very quick, like I feel like versatile players. But at the end of the day, I just feel like Kevin Knox is not worth us trading the 22nd pick and for the 14th pick. If we can get it without trading the 22nd, then obviously I would do it. But if not, then I wouldn't.
And you made a good point there, because if I'm the Bulls, I want to invest in Markkanen. I want to do what I can to make him not just look better, but be a better player in a system in which he can be comfortable, mobile, and have that open floor option. And I think yeah, that's the way to go for them.
And also, just one more point to like point out. I guess like according to CBS Sports, like Kevin Knox is ranked 11th among all rookies, and so he might not even be there.
Right.
So that is another big risk in itself. So there's just a lot of risks with a lot of these, with both of these, I guess. Trade opportunities, if that's what you want to call it. So thank you for asking, though. We really do appreciate it. We really do appreciate the support. But we also want to talk about some really big news.
Whew.
And we want to get into some Kawhi Leonard news.
My boy.
So basically what I want from to talk about is either is he going to go to the Lakers or the Celtics?
I'm not too sure where he will end up, obviously, and it's definitely it's a hill to climb for either team. I think as of right now, especially for the Celtics, being that he prefers the Lakers right now.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, man, I think the Celtics, as of right now at this moment, LeBron's not there yet. The Celtics has way more potential and diversity in their potential assets and how they will grow.
Yeah, but also like when you think about it, with like
Lonzo.
Just in the trade, no, just in like the like you make a good point, but in the trade opportunities that the Spurs could have with them, the Celtics just have way more to offer than the Lakers. The Lakers are probably going to have to put in, unless they decide to eat a lot of the contract, are going to have to put in Luol Deng into that trade. And why would the Spurs take Luol Deng?
And you're going to need Sweetener to get him off your team.
So you're going to have to trade a lot of assets to do that.
And in terms of assets, the Celtics today have Jason Tatum, they have Jaylen Brown if they wanted to, Gordon Hayward, and possibly 4 first-round picks in the 2019 draft.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like if anyone's gonna get it to me out of these two teams, it seems like the Celtics. But I'm not gonna lie, like if somehow the Lakers could pull that off, they would have to they would probably have to trade. I'm assuming Kuzma, Lonzo, and Ingram, and they'd have to just eat up all of the contract. And at that point, it's like, well, then they can't sign PG. They're going to have to get a lot of role players, which is going to be kind of difficult, I feel like, to get LeBron to be okay. Because you have to also think, they want LeBron.
Yeah,
to get LeBron to be okay with signing with the Lakers if they lost all of their playmakers. Like, LeBron likes to know what he's getting himself into, even though he changes the team he's playing on every single year.
Yeah.
So he likes to know, but it doesn't have to be, like, permanent. But I'm just saying, to do that, you might mess up a lot of opportunities. For me, if I'm the Lakers, obviously getting Kawhi Leonard would be incredible. But it just seems like it's more reasonable to shoot for Paul George and LeBron James than to just get rid of all of your assets for Kawhi Leonard, and then you're going to probably lose the opportunity at getting LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest factor there is, at least with the Celtics, is that Luol Deng's gonna have to be a part of that trade. And it's just, why would you bite that?
Yeah, what
why
team
would,
is gonna
and-
wanna
Yeah,
eat
what
that
team
up?
is gonna want to bite that?
And the thing, it's like Luol Deng is getting paid $18 million a year for the next 2 years.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy
Right,
for him
get
too.
your
yeah.
money, bro.
You know, he was-
Luol, if you watching this, get your banks. But I mean, ain't nobody wants you right now.
Dude, I always got love for a long time, Bull. At least a good one. So, like, you know what I mean? But
Right.
I'm just saying so if you look at the Lakers, like, team payroll, it's Luol at $18 million, Lonzo at $7 million, Brandon Ingram at $5 million, and then everyone else is getting paid $1 million.
That is ridiculous.
So it just doesn't make sense, like, mathematically for it to work out. But unless they decide to eat it, but then at, like, what we just said, it's going to mess it up. So if you look at the Celtics, they could package a really good deal for the Spurs. And Pop can start his hopefully start a new dynasty. But with the Lakers, it's like they're going to lose a lot. Spurs might gain a lot, but it's also like there are players who haven't really shown a lot of potential either yet.
Right.
And with the Celtics, it's like they have Jason Tatum.
But I mean, honestly, now getting away from what I think will actually happen, I would love to see a Leonard LeBron duo. The only thing is, Kawhi Leonard's uncle, everyone knows, has been a huge advisor to him. And one of Leonard's uncles, like one of the people that he's cool with, is some people, I'm not trying to say names, but on the Celtics. So what I'm saying is, Leonard probably already has maybe even had an earful of the taste of what Kyrie has to say about playing with LeBron.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know exactly how he sees that. But I mean, either way, if they actually did make it work and they played together, I think that would be an incredible power.
It
That'd
might even
awesome.
be better for the Lakers to wait till Kawhi becomes a free agent. They already know he wants to play, reportedly, I guess. They already
Right.
know he wants to play for them. He has a player option in 2019 and 2020. So if you look at that, it's like, I'm pretty sure Kawhi isn't going to accept his player option because he's clearly going to be able to make a supermax contract. He's going to get it somewhere. So why would he do that? So at the end of the day, it's like you just give your players a little bit more time to develop, and you don't know what could happen. It could work out actually a lot better for you. You don't lose any assets.
Yeah, they could
Right.
get Paul George this summer and Leonard when he's a free agent, possibly.
Plus, you'll see the busts a lot more clearly.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem likely for the Lakers, but for the Celtics,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Definitely
Right.
more realistic.
very likely. They could trade that Kings pick next year.
Unprotected first rounder.
And the Kings, I'm not trying to be mean or slander anybody, bro, but like they definitely do not look like they're gonna be a good team next season.
Yeah.
So
It'll be a lottery pick for sure.
yeah, so like it just seems like it would be good to package that. And I know Jason Tatum shows a lot of promise, and I am a very big fan of Jason Tatum. But at the end of the day, it's like, who are you gonna take, Jason Tatum or Kawhi Leonard? You know what I mean? If you can make that deal, so Jason
Because, I mean,
Tatum.
Kawhi is older, but he ain't old. Like,
Yeah,
the guy's still
how
going
old
to...
is
He's 26 years old.
Yeah, he's 26.
dang.
He's 26.
Yeah, so, like, people... Like, sometimes people get lost in this conversation and start talking like Kawhi's, like, 33, 34. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. The thing is, he is young, my guy. And what he's already shown out there on the court, he's regarded as one of the best two-way players in the league, which even though it's not the way the league is built right now, any team is lucky to have. Because when you can have a defensive force on both ends of the court, you overall, like, what's it called? Even that in regards is going to save you cap space because you don't have to make so many offensive sacrifices to get defensive force.
Yeah, I
which in
feel-
reality you're going to need.
Yeah, I feel like people have a short memory in the NBA. It's a what have you done for me lately mentality.
Right.
And Kawhi only played a few games this season. So people are forgetting that he might have the potential to be like a top 3 player in the entire NBA. That's a big deal.
Right.
I also think that Kawhi would fit perfectly in Brad Stevens' system.
Uh-huh.
And also one thing to consider is like people don't look at Kawhi Leonard as like a 3-point shooter, but I believe he's a 39% like 3-point shooter. Like, and that's really good. Like, I mean,
Right.
I know everyone was like, oh well, 40 is really good, but like, nah, he's 39. I was thinking 30. It's actually 38.6. Is definitely very efficient still. And so
Absolutely.
that could help in so many aspects. But who do you think that the Celtics have to trade to get Kawhi Leonard? Because they did try to trade for him before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think Tatum is 100% a part of that deal. Gordon Hayward, maybe, because Kawhi can play the 3 or the 4, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd rather have him play the 3.
Yeah, so Gordon Hayward is gone.
So you think they're just going to straight up give Jason Tatum and Gordon Hayward?
No, there's got to be something else
I don't
in there.
think the contracts would match up either.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, like, it has to be young players. Like,
Right.
there has to be some young players in there. That's the thing. It's like there's a lot going on, but I feel like at the end of the day, if the Celtics want to make that trade, they have a lot of the things that they need to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the report is that Kawhi wants to play in L.A. because he's from L.A. and everybody wants to go home. But in terms of an environment,
I've heard that a lot.
I know. I really like Boston for Kawhi because I also heard today that Kawhi doesn't want to be the main star. He doesn't want the pressure of being looked at as the top guy on a team, which I think is nuts because if you're going to be a top 3 player in the league, you're just going to get that pressure. But Boston is the best place he can go to alleviate that pressure because they have so many other main stars on their team.
Right, but Kawhi being who he is, like, I don't think that'll be as big of an issue for him, you know?
Probably not. He avoids attention for the
Right,
most part, but
exactly.
he's going to get it. He can't do anything about it.
True.
Yeah, but if he was with Kyrie, then
Exactly. That's
yeah,
what I'm
you know,
saying.
he definitely wouldn't have that.
Yeah, which
wouldn't have
Kyrie
to
in
worry
his
about
own
that.
way, he likes to try to shade away too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kyrie wants to
he
be
just
the
he just
leader
likes to keep
too.
people confused. Really. But
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that Kyrie does sometimes. But I don't know. It could go either way. And obviously, we don't really know. For me, I feel like if I'm the Lakers, I would really focus on getting Paul George and LeBron instead of the Kawhi trade just because, like, it just seems more reasonable so you don't lose your assets. And it just makes it more likely for you to still get LeBron James. And that's the most important part of this whole, I feel like, offseason for the Lakers. That's why they made all those trades last season, is to get LeBron and Paul George. So it's like, this is what they need to do, in my eyes. And if I'm the Celtics, man, Kawhi Leonard on the Celtics, that's just going to be crazy. And I can't wait if this happens to see Boston and Los Angeles finals, man. That would be so good. You know what I mean? It's possible. And I'm ready for another one, bro. I'm ready, honestly. But another thing we need to talk about is, about the Warriors and how they actually really want Anthony Davis. And obviously, anyone will want Anthony Davis.
right.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't blame them. I do not. But
it would big. Why wouldn't you want that?
I feel like it would still kind of like, it would suck for the rest of the league.
I would be so upset. I mean, like, I know I've shared my thoughts on super teams before. If Anthony Davis went there, the league wouldn't be fun to watch. Like, before the season, people were saying it's going to be Cavs Warriors again. But then, like, for most of the regular season, that, like, looked like it wasn't possible. It looked like we were going to have the Rockets in the finals and maybe the Celtics. And even the Sixers were a contender. But towards the end, we got Cavs Warriors again. But it was still a fun season. If AD went to the Warriors, it would be over 100%.
Keeping in mind, Klay Thompson, Draymond would probably be gone.
Yep.
And let's say the LeBron, Paul George thing works out in the Lakers. Okay, I know some people are even trying to figure out how they can get all three, which I just
Yeah.
think is unrealistic.
That sounds unrealistic.
But my point is, you think they're still that much more ahead of everyone else in the West, assuming that they can beat anyone in the East because the conference is not too stacked right now. You're thinking they're still the dominant force that they are.
So we're talking Steph Curry, KD, Anthony Davis, and that's with
Right.
with
Well, see, that's why I'm asking. I'm not saying I don't agree with
no,
you.
that's with
I'm
Klay
saying I wanna
and
hear what you're saying.
Draymond out of the picture. Steph Curry, KD, Anthony Davis against, let's say they get LeBron and Paul George. LeBron and Paul George and whatever role players the Lakers want to assemble. Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion still.
Hey, I'm just saying, as long as they have Swaggy P, it's all good, bro.
True.
I'm just saying, Swaggy
case
champ
for me.
now. No, but for real, like, I actually do think that the Lakers could if they get Paul George and LeBron, I think that they could compete against the Warriors just because you have LeBron James on your team and he has Paul George on his team. Like, if LeBron had Paul George on this Cavs team that he just went up against, they could have probably won 2 of those games.
Probably.
And like, I feel like the Lakers team that he'll have with like Kuzma and Ingram would definitely help us with scoring along with Paul George and LeBron. Like, you have all all of those scorers on one team.
Lonzo
so I feel
too,
like
not a scorer, but
yeah,
as
well,
a
Lonzo could be
facilitator.
he could become a scorer. He was a scorer in the past, so you can't even count that out completely. And I feel like obviously he's gonna get better next season, hopefully.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like this team. Although I know it sounds ridiculous because you say Steph, KD, and AD, and it's like, yep, that's probably it. It's over. But at the end of the day, it's like LeBron James is still LeBron James, and Paul George had a bad season last season. But how many times does Paul George do that? Like, is he really gonna have another bad season? Do you really think so? Especially with LeBron James next to him.
Not as bad as last year, that's for sure.
And see, a lot of people aren't only going to see it from the LA angle. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, but what about the Rockets? And the reality is, if AD's there, who's matching up against him? Clint Capella? They exposed him at the line and then won the series.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, the reality is, you get AD, it's just unfair to the league.
Also,
which, I mean, it's not their job to be fair to the league.
Exactly.
But,
I totally agree. Like, I'd be upset at the situation, but I wouldn't be mad at the players or the organization.
bringing up the Clint Capella thing, though, how they fouled him in the playoffs to make sure that they won the game, to ensure that they won the game.
Right.
That was incredible. Not that the Warriors were playing they were playing really smart, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is that they were actually legitimately afraid that they were going to lose to the Houston Rockets, so
Right.
they fouled Clint Capella, and I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that from the Golden State Warriors.
It was early, too, right?
Yeah, it
And
was
see,
early.
That exact fear could be what's inspiring this huge push to get AD.
Yeah,
Because honestly, a system without Klay Thompson and Draymond Green is a better system than without AD.
I just, it's so crazy because like, if the Rockets could get LeBron, which they can't right now, they just physically it just can't happen because
Bronny's committed. Isn't.
well, honestly, that's a pretty big deal. I'm not gonna lie, but when we think about this, how are they gonna get for the Rockets? How are they gonna trade Ryan Anderson? And if I'm any other team in the league, I am not helping them get LeBron James. Why would I do that? Why? I don't know why the Cleveland Cavaliers helped the Lakers clear up cap space so they could get LeBron James.
Because LeBron told them to.
I understand.
Exactly. LeBron told them to.
Yeah.
That's the point.
This is like
this man he paved the way. He said, "I am the way, and I'll get there."
I mean, if LeBron really does want to go to LA, it was a genius plan because it looks like he's trying to get young players to help the Cavs succeed in the future with him there. But like you said, it opens up the cap space for LeBron.
Right.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if LeBron did think about all that stuff, which I'm assuming he could have thought about all that stuff. It's
Right.
not
I
really
mean,
that complicated.
he's a smart guy.
Yeah, and he is smart. So it's a good move on his part, but I just feel like I really wish that the Rockets could have picked him up, but I want to see what he can do in the Lakers, and I think that would be really interesting.
I want to see what he can do in the East. I'm so sick of the discussion of West super teams. I know that the narrative right now is LeBron to LA and Paul George to LA and Kawhi to LA.
Well, you say you want to see what LeBron can do in the East?
I want him to stay in the East.
You want to see what he can do?
I want to see what
Go to the playoffs 8 straight times. Go to the finals
Yeah.
8 straight times. That's what he
Man,
can
yeah.
do. That's what I'm saying. That's
said this
why
before.
the narrative of going to the West would make sense for him.
Why would he
It
want
would help his
Why would he
legacy
want to
in a
go to the
sense.
West? It runs the risk of stopping his final streak, and I know he might not care that much, but it's a big part of his legacy.
He wouldn't care that much.
Exactly.
Yeah, he would care.
I think he would.
He does care.
I think he would. So why would he want to go to the West?
People talk a lot more about MJ going and winning the final 6 times than losing in the first round. So that's just all I'm saying. Like, the move to the West ain't that radical of like an option. And honestly, this is a thing I think that reporters get wrong when they try to understand LeBron. Is they're trying to understand what he definitively is trying to do. And LeBron's a lot smarter than that. He's not trying to decide what he can definitively he doesn't have a specific system
Yeah,
of just
his mind's not made up.
doing one thing. He sees the options, creates space for options, and then decides what he wants to do.
Almost like on the court.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not even
I don't know, bro.
Thank you.
I'm just saying. But the East, though, who does he want to go with on the East?
the best option is Philadelphia, to be honest.
But I feel like
Not for Simmons.
Yeah, but the issue is, so that's my problem, because he can't coexist with Simmons that well.
no, that's the problem. But
Exactly.
he can coexist really well with probably every player on the Lakers.
You make a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
and
point.
that's the thing. It's like he could coexist really well with all those guys, but he can't coexist really well with the people on the Sixers. But he could with Joel Embiid. That's for sure. I'm pretty
Absolutely.
positive he can do that.
Absolutely.
And if they re-sign a lot of their shooters, that could be good. Like they could, if they re-sign Ersan Ilyasova,
JJ Redick.
yeah, and JJ Redick, if they're able to do that, that would help. But at the end of the day, who would LeBron rather have on his side, JJ Redick or Paul George?
Yeah, you make a good point.
You got a good point. He wants shooters, and I mean,
And
He's
Paul
gonna
George
take
is
George.
so much more than just a shooter. JJ Redick is literally a shooter.
mm-hmm.
That's
much,
that's
yeah.
what he does.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's really good at it. He shoots over 40% from the behind the three.
right.
And that's like Lonzo's field goal percentage, but
Mhm.
like just in general.
Yeah,
But-
like if Paul George wasn't on the table here, JJ Redick would be a great teammate for LeBron. Like, that's the exact kind of guy he wants.
Would you say that about Kyle Korver?
Yeah.
Well, the problem though is what a lot of people are saying is he's trying to change the way he's playing the game. He's trying to change his role in the game. He wants to play off the ball.
Yes.
And with somebody like Kyle Korver, the JJ Redicks of the world, they're really, really good at one thing. But when that one thing ain't landing in the playoffs, that's kind of a big deal. Like, I understand there's really not much you can do, or there's not much you can know, because either way, you're going to need those shooters in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, like, if I was to get someone, it's going to be Paul George. 'cause
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean-
absolutely. No doubt.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like he can actually play off the ball with the Lakers, I feel. And like, but the thing is though, we could run into another problem of LeBron not letting his players, have the ball and take it up the court.
Right, because panic mode LeBron is going to take up the ball. Like, regardless of what happens or how he gets to panic LeBron, it's going to happen.
So if he actually lets Lonzo take the ball up, if he actually lets, when Paul George has the ball, lets him like do his thing, then it could be great, potentially. Like it has it has the potential to be that. But it could also, just happen the same way it happened in Cleveland, and LeBron could just have to play LeBron ball and have to overexert himself. But I think the difference is that the scorers on Cleveland, now there wasn't a lot of consistency last year, and I think that's also due to them just like being rookies and like a lot of things were happening. But if they get the consistency, I feel like the scorers on the Lakers have a lot more ability than the scorers on the Cavs. All the scorers on the
Absolutely.
Cavs are just shooters at most. If you're Tristan Thompson, you're just not a scorer at all. So like it's
Tristan
just,
Thompson's hardly even a basketball player at
I
this
mean,
point.
like, well,
I don't knock that defense, though, my
he-
God. Let's be careful.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm not saying he's great. I'm just saying he still is useful.
I mean, he should be
for his contract?
for his
Eh.
contract. No,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
true. Yes,
All right,
for-
yeah, you're right.
And but you know who wanted to get in that contract? LeBron James. That's why he got the contract.
Yep.
He said, I want him.
JR got his contract because of
LeBron James.
Bring
honestly.
the Tris.
At the end of the day, it's like, yes, LeBron James, all-time great. But you think about it, he also forces his teams into bad situations on occasion because he makes the GMs do things.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that in L.A.
He better not. That's just the thing. If he wants to be successful in LA, he actually has to play. He has to
Team
let
basketball.
he has to let the players play.
Yeah.
And if he's willing to let Paul George do his thing, he's willing to let Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo. Obviously, they're going to have to learn to work with each other because that's how basketball works.
Absolutely.
But he's going to have to let them do their thing, and I feel like that will definitely help. And the rotations will be very good because they'll always have scorers on the court.
At the same time, LeBron has even said, I still know basketball. Like, I still know how to play, and I know what to do. He says, put me on any system. He's like, if I would have got drafted on the Pistons, I would have been playing.
I believe that 100%.
Right. But the thing is, after 13, 14, 15 years, like, it's in his blood.
Yeah.
And, like, that's somebody's big point. It's in his blood. And when you don't know what to do, what do you resort to? Your blood. What's your gut saying? And that's gonna be an issue if that comes to be.
I mean, especially in the thing is that is something to worry about, and because in the playoffs with how young this team is,
Exactly.
it could be a problem because whether or not if they play poorly or not, LeBron could still go into like panic LeBron mode, just because how are you going to trust players that have no experience in the playoffs at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I get that.
Yeah, and it's like you have a weapon under your belt that has brought you to the finals 8 times.
9
How
now.
could you not?
Oh, 9, yeah.
I meant in a row, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, 9.
Yeah.
How could you not trust that when nothing else seems to be working?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense. It's not that he's, selfish or whatever. And I mean, that's a different argument is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Say what you say about that. It's just, it's worked. And when nothing else is working, what are you going to choose?
And that's a big thing that we've talked about amongst ourselves. Brandon specifically has been talking about how LeBron has to be the man.
Right.
He has to in most situations. But I actually have never heard LeBron up until this season say that he wants to play off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe LeBron is starting to actually realize. I mean, he's obviously one of the smartest basketball players who have ever played this game. He's starting to realize, though, maybe he has to start doing this. Because you know what? He is getting older.
Yeah, you can't stop Father Time.
Yeah, he is getting older, and he obviously still playing like his age isn't really affecting him. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't do that forever.
Yeah, the best way to develop an old man game is to do it early.
That makes sense,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so hopefully,
Absolutely.
I feel like for his sake, he could do that with the Lakers. I don't know why he would want to go to the Spurs because, I mean, people were bringing that up too. I just want to talk about that because we were talking about the Kawhi thing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it just seems like now that the Spurs are out, he liked Greg Popovich. Like, a lot of teams they're not really seeming like good spots for LeBron except for really the Lakers, I feel. Like, it just, except maybe Philly. But other than that, it's like, where is he going to go? And I would say the Lakers. But I also want to talk about, what if Kobe just came on the Warriors?
Oh, Lord, man.
I mean, wouldn't that be cool, though? I know it's not going to happen. Obviously, he was a joke. I mean, I don't think it was actually a joke, but but
when Myers said it, he said it with a joking tone. But come on, it's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
If he wants to come back,
he's probably like, just in case, if you want to come back,
bro, I
cool.
just started detail.
Dude, just imagine though. I just want to think about this, just to talk about it. Like,
I
Kobe,
do not want to imagine it.
well, but like, just to think about what he can offer to that Warriors team, because Kobe could still play. I mean, he could still play in his last season. Obviously, he was a little banged up, but in a lower usage role, he could still show flashes of what Kobe can do.
Right.
And I think that would be really cool to see on the Warriors because obviously their ball movement and everything. And I feel like Kobe can give them this aspect of their game that they miss sometimes, and it's like slowing the game down. And the Warriors, a lot of times, I feel like,
and they'd have to slow it down if Kobe comes back. Like that's. I don't think it would happen. Obviously, I just want to say that again because it makes me uncomfortable. But, but yeah, like they would have. That was something they would have to do.
And I just think that it would help the Warriors a lot. I mean, obviously because it's Kobe, but also like the slowing down portion. Sometimes the Warriors don't slow down, and when it's working and it's on, and they're just making their shots, it's great because other teams just can't keep up. Except for maybe what the Rockets did in the playoffs this year. But at the same time, it seemed like if the Warriors did slow down a little bit, at some of those possessions, it might have helped them out.
Right.
And that's the only reason why I think it'd be cool to see, just because I want to, just to see another aspect of the Warriors game that just hasn't been, unlocked completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. They're such a great team, and I don't, love what they've done to the league, but when I watch them play, it looks like sometimes it doesn't even look like they're not even trying.
Yeah, it's amazing basketball.
Like when we watched them the first game of the finals, it was a close game, but it still looked like they weren't trying the whole game until the fourth quarter. And they still kept up. The whole time they tied it, and they looked like they weren't even trying. And that's not fun to watch, but at the same time, it's like it is kind of jaw-dropping that someone
it's impressive.
Absolutely
that you can be that good.
I mean, if you're a Dubs fan, you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Where you at?
But I'm not.
Yeah, Zeke, bro. Zeke was going crazy.
So
that's for sure.
I do have a question though, Jack. What is more triggering of a super team? AD with the Warriors, or if Kobe was back at this day and age?
AD, no doubt.
Okay.
Like Kobe isn't super team material. He's 40, or he'll be 40 by the time the season starts.
Well, I mean, I don't know about not super team material. He'd be an incredible asset.
Yeah, I'm just saying he wouldn't be like super teams.
I mean, you're
now,
not getting him a max 5. I mean, for
super
sure.
teams now are like 3 big stars. I don't think Kobe would be like a centerpiece of a super team, but AD absolutely would be.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, it's just not happening with Kobe.
Yeah,
it's just
it's just fun to think about.
Right.
I also want to just talk about like the possible, like again, bring up the Anthony Davis trade and like how Draymond and Clay would probably have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So with that trade, Draymond and Clay would probably have to get traded for, I'm assuming, Anthony Davis and Etuan Moore. And because like that's the number, and probably maybe somebody else, or maybe some type of like just money type of situation that happens there.
I actually don't mind Etuan Moore at the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean,
like, he's a fine role player,
and that's what I'm saying. But Klay Thompson, Drew Holiday, and I mean Draymond Green, these players could actually
Boogie Cousins too.
And if they're able to re-sign him, that could actually be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I would love to see how Clay would adapt to that team specifically.
Dude, Clay, that's why I think it's so interesting.
Right.
Because you could see a whole other side of Clay. Clay is a little laid back at times with the Warriors just because he knows
he showed out this season, this postseason though.
Well, when he had to.
Right.
But that's the thing. Clay is pretty clutch. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I mean, we all know this. You watch him. When Kevin Durant and Steph aren't playing well, Clay will show out, and he'll save them at times. And that's what I would like to see with Clay, because I wonder how, like, the height of his game. I wonder where that can be. And if he was on the Pelicans, you would definitely see that. And that would be really, really interesting.
Yeah, on top of the guys that we just talked about, he might have Rondo with him, too, in that situation. Can you imagine Clay's type of shooting with Rondo giving him the ball?
Yeah, and Drew Holiday. But I think Drew Holiday could be a good point guard, though, too.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Rondo wouldn't be a starter in that situation.
And see, even if Rondo isn't there, you look at the full, spectrum of that trade, Draymond Green's ball IQ, like, that would be like, Rondo retires, you're all right. You're not perfect, he's going to end up being a coach at the Raptors.
Is still elite.
Well, they have to resign Rondo, too, because he isn't under contract for next season.
Right.
But let's just say, like, just for fun, like, what if the Pelicans were able to get Paul George and DeMarcus Cousins and make that trade for AD and Clay and Draymond all at once? How good would that team be?
I would be upset again.
Why
so
would you
very
be
good,
upset?
that means.
Yeah, so very good. Yeah, like, that would be pretty good. Like, I would be pretty excited to watch that team, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be so fun.
The playoffs would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they were cool this year, but they would be really cool.
Like, the East would be so depleted. We'd be like guaranteed Celtics Sixers in the ECF.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, that'd be really bad for the East, which in some angles, what's really bad for the East is really bad for the league right now.
Yeah.
So
because, like, in these situations, I'm not saying it's 100% because Boston's still a great team. Philly still has the potential to be a great team. But, like, if this Warriors thing continues, if all of this Lakers talk comes to fruition, the Rockets still exist, and even the Timberwolves, too. Like, the Western Conference Finals might as well be the finals. Not 100%, but it'd be pretty close.
If the Timberwolves, though, could just learn how to pass the ball,
right,
like, that would make them a way better team. But at the end of the day, it's like Timberwolves have a lot of talent. They just don't know how to play with each other.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't trying to say that the Timberwolves are on, like, the Rockets or the Warriors level of super team, but they have the potential to grow into that if they get another young, good asset.
I also I'm like, I have a very different opinion on this matter, but I don't really care about the East being weaker than the West, because it's still the playoffs and you still have to get there. And so, like, the teams that are the best deserve to win.
And also, it opens the door for the Bulls.
Yeah, it does open
in a
the
weak
door.
East.
And I do see that, but when I mean that's bad for the league, like, what happened this year when it was Cav Warriors? Like, a lot of people were excited, and then a lot of people, like, and I'm assuming at least someone in this room didn't watch it. And that overall is bad for the league. Like, ratings do matter there. And that's kind of what I mean when I say it would be bad for the league. Excitement-wise, you don't have to watch the games.
Yeah.
Like, the West is still going to be an exciting conference, especially like with or without that being a reality.
Yeah.
And just because, like, well, what I mean is, like, when I watched the Western Conference playoffs, like, on that side, it was still super entertaining to me.
Oh, yeah.
And
there are so many good storylines in the West.
just like the Rockets-Warriors series, and I watched other ones, but that series in general, like, it did seem like a finals series, but that's why I liked it so much, because the stakes were so high.
Mm-hmm.
And although it was like, okay, if the Rockets or the Warriors win, they're probably gonna win it all.
Right.
But it was like, these are really high stakes regardless, because you are trying to get to that point. So it still has the same amount of high stakes because you're still playing for the same thing. You're still playing for the chance to win the finals. And so, like, to me, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, the finals are worse and, like, ratings are bad. But in terms of basketball, I still think it was really cool basketball.
Oh, absolutely.
And, like, I enjoyed watching it. So for me, that's why it's like, yeah, I get it, because it's going to hurt the ratings. But at the end of the day, it's like they're still playing for the same thing. And when you're in the playoffs, the stakes are just as high for everybody, because you're still playing for the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose, then you lose an opportunity at that one thing you want. Because no one cares about, I mean, okay, this is going to be a hot take, I guess. But I said no one cares about if you make it to the finals. It's about winning to the finals. But that's not true, I guess, because people like to talk about that with LeBron all the time. But for me, it doesn't matter if you make it there. If you lose, it's a tarnished season. Like, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's like the one thing that you play for in the NBA is to win in the finals. Nothing else matters.
Right.
Nothing else. MVPs don't matter. Nothing matters. It's just like, at the end of the day, winning championships is what matters.
Mm-hmm. And we speak so much on accolades and who's the best player and who's got what, that we lose the sense of, like, these players, the people who are actually out there playing the game that we're watching. This is what it's all about. They're not chasing best sixth man of the year.
Yeah.
They want a ring.
Like, when you're a kid, you don't dream of being, like, I feel like you don't, like, if you don't dream of being the best six man. You don't dream about being, like, the best defensive player in the whole league. Maybe you do, very small percentage of those people, but a lot of those people, I feel like, would trade a lot of those things for a championship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, in real time, when you're in the league, what you want is a ring, 100%. Don't disagree there. But in terms of legacy, things that aren't rings still do matter. That's why LeBron is regarded as a top 3 all-time, but he's not top 3 all-time in rings.
Right.
And his legacy exists beyond his rings.
Exactly. And my point is, that's not what matters to the players. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're worried about winning. And we spend so much time talking about what you just said that we forget that.
Yeah. Like, I saw a post on the NBA subreddit last week, I think. And the person said that the fan base of the NBA in general has put so much emphasis on rings that it's affecting how the players view their careers. I think it came up in the context of the whole KD going to the Warriors thing. I don't want to view it just from that lens, but, like, so many analysts and fans say rings are the only thing that matters for your legacy. I think that's an issue. I don't think that's true.
The thing is, though,
Right. I'm not really talking about that, though, but right.
Yeah, but
I agree with that.
The thing is, though, this one thing I wanted to talk about LeBron, because you said, like, rings don't define his legacy. Well, people weren't even putting, like, LeBron as the best small forward of all time until he won a ring. They were saying that Larry Bird was better all the way up until he won his first ring.
It plays a part. I'm saying it's the people who view it as the whole deal that's an issue.
But you're saying that affects the player's view. I think for the most part, it's safe to say it is the whole view for the players. That's my point.
I feel like they viewed it in a different way in the past, too.
Obviously, they want to put their all just in general, but, I mean, it's a ring.
But in the past, it's like they wanted to beat the best players. Now, it is a little different because they want to just win the ring. But at the end of the day, they still wanted to win the ring then. It's just a little different.
They made it more challenging on themselves, which I know is kind of ridiculous, but it's a mindset change. Like, their super teams weren't that common back then. I know there was the Showtime Lakers, and if you want to include Rodman in the Bulls dynasty, but it wasn't a common occurrence then. Like, a superstar wanted to be the man on his team. Kawhi doesn't want to be the man on his team. He wants to go join with other the mans.
It's crazy that Kawhi doesn't want to be the man when he's so clearly
When he's the man
the
material.
He's so clearly, like almost on every
He's even
team.
mysterious. He's just got it all.
Almost on every team, he's going to be the man on the team, except for maybe if he's on.
Except the Kings. No, I'm just joking.
No, except for maybe if he's on a Kevin Durant team
Buddy Hield hype
or a
train.
LeBron James team, and even then, the Kevin Durant, like you never know, like if like who's the man, because sometimes Kevin Durant, like he doesn't have good games. Sometimes most of the time he does, but sometimes he doesn't. I know, but I think that'll probably just about wrap it up today.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So, but also, our fan today, he did give us a question and we did answer it. So if you want to do that same thing, you can just comment down below and we'll talk about it the next time. And we're very open to it. We want to talk about whatever you guys want us to talk about. So thank you for listening. This is the Unbearables podcast, and I'm Brandon Ruiz, and I'm here with
Emilio.
And Jack Cowart.
Thank you for listening.